Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday to you. Glad to have you on board with us this Super Sunday wrap up for the week. What an exciting week it was! It was a Super Bowl week last week and had a lot of good announcements and fun things happening. How was your week, Warren?
It was really good. I saw Quantum Mania on Thursday night, uh, and I saw the Super Bowl. I thought it was good until the referees became the sixth man, um, and just catching up on esports stuff. So it was, a lot of things to watch. It was pretty good.
What'd you think about the Quantumania?
I thought it was a really good movie to start a phase. It was, um, like someone mentioned, popcorn flick where it's really straightforward. Um, not too complicated. Some little Easter eggs were thrown in there. Good pacing, wasn't too long. Uh, got to see more of the Ant family. So overall, I thought it was a good start. I'm just happy I didn't have to wait. What is it, 7 years or 8 years for to see the big bad like we did with Thanos. So, um, yeah, that's my consensus.
Yeah, a lot of the things that I'm hearing is that Jonathan Majors is the standout for Quantumania and is gonna he represented is what I'm hearing and did really well in representing who Kang was, what some of the possibilities are. I don't want to get into any spoilers. I know some people are, but I'd hate to do that since we come in a week after anyway. But Quantumania. I think a lot of pressure was put on it since it's the beginning of Phase 5. I think a lot of people expected a masterpiece to happen. And I think they expected just people to be knocking it out of the park, every single person, every single role, whether it was from the director, the writer, the producers, the VFX artists, the actors, everybody was expected to deliver. And I think that shows more in the critics' response than it does the audience. Your audience is a little more forgiving than a critic is. So when you have a movie come out that, like you said, popcorn, it's just straight up enjoyable. It's nothing fancy. It's just a night out at the movies, and the critics are expecting the base of the statue of David by Michelangelo to hold up the rest of the
Or
phase.
Scorsese.
Yeah, then it might be a little bit more disappointing than what the average person might think. So only the box office really, I believe, is the most important thing. So we'll see how that works out when the numbers come out and everybody else is when things settle down. We'll see how that goes. But one of the big things of last Sunday was the Flash trailer, and some people were surprised that Ezra has more than one role to play. If you follow the toy market and you saw some of the toy fronts, then you were not as surprised as some of the other people. But what did you think about that Flash trailer?
Uh, This is. I guess I'm acting like a critic. I thought the trailer visually looked really good, right? On a visual aspect, I thought it gave us what we want. We get to see Keaton. We saw a bat flick. Um, uh, Now, I thought I. I don't know because the thing is they're saying that Barry is the villain, but I don't know if Reverse Flash is just impersonating him because someone brought that up and I was like, all right, you have a good point. Let me dial it back because before I thought if they're gonna do this movie and go back in time, we need Eobard Thawne, right? But that's a good point. I said, you know what, you got me there. Okay. Overall, I think it looks pretty good. I don't know how long it's gonna be. There's no timestamp, really for it. The I hope that Keaton is not like in only 20 minutes of the movie. Um, the Supergirl, she looked pretty good, I guess. It was weird to see Zod. I guess Michael Shannon was such a great actor that they're like, you know what, come back. But when you see things like Zod, you know what else I'm thinking? Like, oh, the Snyderverse is still alive. Bring it back. Ah! So,
Well, I think it was a hard road to walk regardless because Flashpoint itself goes through multiple different variations of the time stream. And in the comic book, it assumes that you can influence your timeline. So Barry goes back in time, and it's Barry in the comic book. Now, I'm not talking about the movie, but I'm talking about in the comic book. Barry goes back in time. He saves his mother. It's Eobard Thawne. That's the Reverse Flash in this. And he stops him from killing his mother. So when he comes back to his regular time, he doesn't have the powers because he hasn't become Flash, and everything is affected, and he has to regain his powers. Adapting that story into the cinematic universe is going to be a little bit harder because you've got all the things that people are doing. You've got multiple Jokers, you've got multiple Batmans, you've got all these things. So instead of playing with time, Keaton's Batman said you can go to any universe that you want to. Why would you come to this one? So they're throwing a monkey wrench right away into what's happening. He's in another Barry's timeline and not his own. But his mother is there. But it's not really his mother, it's another Barry's mother. And so what you have is an interesting dynamic of Barry coming and invading Barry's space. Now, how is Barry going to feel about that? Uh, Another Barry coming in and trying to take over essentially his family. And so when they have one Barry Allen wearing red and one Barry Allen wearing yellow, you have an opportunity where you can replace Eobard Thawne and you don't have to introduce that character and why he hates the Flash and everything else. You can build in this film how Barry Allen learns to hate Barry Allen for coming in and screwing up these multiple worlds and combining them together and bringing in supervillains from one variant and bringing them into a world where there are no heroes and causing a big mess. And then you have that accident that is shown in the trailer because they always show too much, where lightning goes through one Barry and goes into another. And I think that's where the yellow Barry gets his powers, and we see them facing off because you got one Barry in running and the other Barry running, and it looks like he creates his own issues in doing so. What do you think about that?
I think it's fine. I think you bring up a good point with that. I just think when I look at that trailer, right, and maybe you might see this comparison here. When I look at that trailer, it reminds me of No Way Home, where they're like, we get, like I said, we get Zod, we get Keaton, we get Batfleck, we're getting all these things that like the Snyderverse people and other people wanted, and I think when they made this movie, they're like, okay, this, I mean, good on the Warner Brothers, DC, EU still, because not DCU. Um, uh, to do that, but that's the feeling I got. But in regards to storytelling, it looks really interesting. I mean, I know on the Funko Pop, like you were mentioning the toys, there's like a Black Flash, like a death. There's like a couple Funko Pops I saw of different types of Flashes. But so that's what I got from it. I got a Spider-Man No Way Home DCEU trailer. That's what I thought when I looked at it.
Yeah. I think that's probably what they're going to try to do is go in with that and combine the worlds and create a place where you can have your Elseworlds and you can have your mainstream and you can have your. I don't think it's going to be a cartoon universe. I think it's going to be that the cartoons represent live action. I think they're going to not do what the what do you call it? The Multiverse of Madness, where Doctor Strange goes through uh, a cartoon universe. I think when you have something like the Howling Commandos, not Howling Commandos, but the Creature Commandos, and they introduced them in animation, I think that's just probably how they're going to introduce it. I don't think it really means that they're actually cartoons in a cartoon universe. So it'll be interesting to see how things are going to go. Hey, everybody, let's welcome Miss 1776 to the conversation. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
How was your week?
It was an interesting week. How was yours week going?
Well, I got sick as a dog last week, and so I was down for the count for most of the week, but I seem to be feeling better. So
That's good to hear.
good.
Yeah, I know that there's like a flu bug going around California right now. So, I don't know if it's going around Texas too.
It should be. A lot of people travel back and forth, so we get things going back and forth. How did you feel about the Flash trailer?
I agree with Warren that it kind of looked like the Spider-Way No Way Home. Like it was going to be kind of that, where it's bringing in all the nostalgia. Now it might work. It kind of looks good. I mean, I thought it looked good, but obviously they're just Hollywood's right now trying to figure out, okay, what works, and they're just playing it safe. Oh no, that's right. They said that this actually came out before, right? They started this project before No Way Home. It just No Way Home came out first. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well then I guess they can't say that then. I gotta be fair to DC.
Well, did anybody happen to see the Mario Brothers plumbing commercial?
I did.
No, I've seen the trailers, the first two trailers, but not the car commercial.
Let's see if I can bring it up here. Just catch some people up here. Let's have a look at that.
We're the Mario Brothers, and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. When your sink is in trouble, you could call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers.
Thank you, Super Mario Bros. It seems like the only thing you haven't drained is my bank account. For super service, call or text Super Mario Bros. Plumbing today at 929-55-MARIO. Or reach us on the World Wide Web at smbplumbing.com.
Initial thoughts?
I mean, it's cute. I think it's cute.
It's a anime throwback to the '90s movie.
The
Eight.
initial the music that they use for that is from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, starring Captain Lou Albano, a wrestling manager from the 80s and 70s, as Mario. And that was the intro theme to that particular show, which was a combination of live action and cartoons. So you had Captain Lou Albano, this wrestling guy, doing these intros to the cartoons, and they would switch. They would do Mario Brothers cartoons Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday they would do the adventures of Link, the adventures of Zelda. So and I watched that back in the 80s. Sad to say, in the afternoons. But they took that and they used that to do, like Warren said, and basically ground Mario and Luigi in the real world before they go to down that super magic pipe. And I thought it was cute to use it as a commercial. Um, so, any
I mean, they
other
have a
thoughts?
website too. Did you go to the
Yes, yes.
website? Yeah, they have like a little website that's so it's pretty detailed. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Did you go to the
Way
website?
marketing. I did. Yeah, I was reading like the little testimonials they had and the little the different careers.
Do you want to share
So
the screen, or
okay, how do I do that? Do I pull it up on
I think you click present and then
okay,
you
type it in real quick.
share
Yeah, see, I
screen.
do everything through my phone and then
Oh,
so that way yeah, so I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. But yeah, I can pull it up.
Warren, do you like the idea of putting them in the real world, even if it's an animated real world?
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, they are gonna use the magic from the realm. I mean, the Mario Brothers never had, like, they were known as cloners. They never had magic. It's from the realm that they got all learn all their stuff. So I'm okay with it. I think people are. I think people are going a little bit too hard. I'm like, oh, Chris Evans isn't. He's not Italian. Why didn't they get an Italian? Like, come on, man. So, like, I don't get it. Like, it just whatever. I'm like, okay, because if they made Mario black, God knows how that would turn out. So.
Well, I have no idea how that would turn out if that happened. But I think Chris Pratt has a specific charm that they're using to carry it through. And I think they did the same thing when they made, what is
Lightyear?
his name? Yeah, Lightyear. When they made Lightyear and they put Chris Pratt in as Buzz Lightyear, they wanted that particular charm to carry the property through to the next phase of development, and it didn't work. So hopefully the third time's a charm. Yeah, he's a good Star Lord. Yes, let's give him that. He was good in Parks and Recreation. Lovely time. But is he every single likable character in the universe? I don't know. So let's see. All
Work.
right,
No.
let's take a look at this.
Nope, it's not working, is it?
Wow.
I have it up.
That's
I just don't know how to
all right. Let's see. Here we go. Almost.
okay.
Let's let back. Oh, let's try this one more time over here. Now I'm also having issues. I had technical issues this morning, and my computer decided to reboot on me. And this happens every now and then. I think it's because I still haven't switched over to Windows 11. I think is what everybody's on nowadays.
Yeah, I can't switch my my PC doesn't fit. I just gotta get a new one.
Yeah, and I think what they're doing is they're pulling from the Apple playbook and making me reboot every so often just to make sure that I'm annoyed.
Yeah, I'm on was it Mozilla? So
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I don't think we got much more to say about the Super Mario Brothers plumbing commercial. Wait, here we go. Here we go. Oh, back again. How lovely is
wait, so if
that?
I click on it, will it show up? If I click on it, does it
Yes.
show?
Yeah.
Okay, there
There
you
it
go.
is. Yeah. We can see
Okay.
it. Family owned and operated. Fixing pipes is our game. Do you think maybe their last name is Mario, just like in the original Super Mario Brothers movie from the 90s?
I mean, this
Probably.
Because I
am I
think that
scrolling
was
too fast?
no. I'd say, welcome to the Super Mario Brothers Plumbing. We are brothers, and yes, we are super. My little but taller brother Luigi and I were tired of dealing with spiky bosses, so we jumped at the opportunity to take on Brooklyn's plumbing problems all by ourselves. Family owned and operated, we aim to one up the competition with our expert white glove service. Thank you for checking us out, Mario and Luigi. My wife uh, put it on speakerphone and she called that number 92955 Mario, and it's it's Luigi giving a message about basically the same thing. So I think it's cute tie-in. It's some of that viral marketing that people, in the marketing industry like to try to get a hold of, where things exist outside of the movie, but inside of that same movie reality. Yeah, I think Zack Snyder did some of that with some of the things he was doing. I think he did a lot of that for Cloverfield with the different websites that existed and the different news articles that they were able to pull up. So it was kind of an interesting. It's kind of interesting to see Illumination try to do the same thing. What do you think about that, Warren?
With Mario.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, using that sort of marketing strategy with Mario.
I think it's creative. I think they're just trying to get all like just creative. Honestly, that's the only thing I can think of. It's like creative. I think I saw the boys kind of did something a commercial recently for Vought with Homelander's son. It's a nice little. It's a way of giving like a little teaser to what's upcoming. So I just think it's a creative use. You don't. Sometimes you don't need a full teaser. Sometimes you don't need a full trailer. Sometimes you can just do things like this. And with them being plumbers, it kind of makes sense. Like you couldn't do this if, say, I don't know, they were a janitor. You know what I mean? Or a postman. So
I like the fact that the woman who was working in their commercial was thrown off by the final line and looked kind of confused. The only thing you're not draining is my wallet. Miss 76, did this make you more likely to watch the Mario movie or no?
Yes, I would say it probably is because I mean it's good. Like I said, it's good marketing, and I think it's kind of a cute way to kind of get the kids involved. 'Cause, the kids are going to see the website and go to the website. There's nothing, it makes it feel like to me it's just going to be a movie that's entertaining. So
So good for you, Illumination. You did a great job. Anybody hear about the Barney revival?
yes,
They're
yes,
going
I
to
did.
be reintroducing Barney to the next generation of toddlers, or maybe just slightly older. A new animated
please.
version of Barney with a long line of toys and other things to go along with it.
Why can't they let things die?
I don't think that anybody who um, watched Barney growing up, and it's sad to say that there probably are people who watched Barney as a child and now have children of their own. But I don't think anybody is looking to share that experience with their children. What do you think, Miss 1776? Did we lose you there? She probably went under a tunnel. Yep, yep, we lost her on that one. Warren, did you watch Barney growing up?
Yes, I did. I remember the song. I was trying to find it on Google. Hold on. I think it's "I Love You, You Love
Yes.
Me." Let's
Yeah.
get a gun and kill Barney.
Oh, that one. That one.
I remember I used to sing that at school. I did. I mean, I watched Barney until probably what, third grade, fourth grade. I don't know. Like, why? That's like bringing back Sesame Street. I don't even know if Sesame Street still plays even till today.
I think it still does. I think it does.
I mean,
But they've been continuously on the air since the
oh yeah,
60s.
PBS, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so all right, well, fair enough, because I haven't been keeping up with, like, that's kind of like, to me, kindergarten, first grade, maybe
Yeah,
third
yeah.
grade, cartoon oriented. I don't know, like, with technology and everything, I don't know if kids are gonna be wired to watch a TV, like, unless they're gonna put their kids on a tablet and say, here's Barney. Maybe there's a market, but with everything else that's out there, like Dora the Explorer, Blue's Clues, Sesame Street, like you still said, it's like you're coming in the game when it's kind of already super saturated.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think there's anybody out there that's going to be starting a hashtag restore the Barneyverse. I don't think there's a big call for it. I don't think there's room for it. If it winds up being a thing, maybe it's a show, maybe it's an online show, maybe there's downloadable apps that go along with it. Who knows what's going to happen or how they're going to do it? But I think they're going to wind up updating the music and updating the whole shebang. You're not going to have the kids that are there in live action anymore. You're not going to have cameramen or people in costume. The whole thing is going to be animated. So probably they're going to update it for today. They're going to update the music. They're going to update the kids. They're going to update Barney, and they're probably going to do adventures of some kind and more modern music and just kill the saccharine of the original Barney that was completely, like you said, made for kindergartners and below. Um, and they'll probably add to the learning aspect of it. So who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, not I just think it's if you look at everything else, I think you see, the thing is, if they revived Barney, say during the pandemic, it would have made sense. Everybody's home, your kids are home, and then, but now after 3 years, most people are back out. See, this is where I'm like, if I were them, I would have rushed this during the pandemic because everybody's home, so
Yes.
people would have watched this. So that's just my opinion, but I just think the market is just saturated with toddlers. What is this, pre-K to like third grade? I just think it's already saturated, and it's going to be hard to compete.
I think I've seen on platforms like Sling, a lot of things were accelerated during the pandemic, like you said. A lot of people took advantage of that, and you have now these sort of fake cable channels like Baby Bump and things like that. Things that were usually relegated to YouTube Children's, and it's now all over the place on those uh, cable alternatives. So it'll be interesting to see where they find their place. Miss 1776, we lost you for a moment, and now we've
Yeah.
got you back.
Sorry, I was
Have you got
having
an opinion?
internet. Yes, I do. As I think I may have shared with you that we have, little ones in our family, and my sister and I are very heavily involved in their, life and upbringing. And one of the things that always concerns me is when I see anybody in charge of a new show and they sit there updating something for a modern worldview. So that stuck out to me in one of the articles I had read. So I mean, it's gonna be one of those things I'll have to screen first. But it's like Blue's Clues. I just have them watch, the originals with Steve, instead of the new stuff because you just can't trust what they want to teach your kids anymore.
Do you think they're going to proud family this version of Barney?
It wouldn't shock me after seeing the Blue's Clues thing. It wouldn't shock me. But the great thing is we still have the originals, so we could still, show the next generation those good moral stories. That understood that you can teach kindness and love without it having to be tied to something specific.
Yeah, yeah. Good call. Good call. Um, anybody happen to see this week on Valentine's Day that the Snyderverse had planned a takeover
Oh
of
yeah,
Twitter,
it was stupid.
and they used every weapon in their arsenal to try to convince the powers at WB to sell the Snyderverse to Netflix. And they used bots. They used different types of hashtags. They tagged everybody they could, and they used deepfake technology to not only have the characters, excuse me, have the characters spout the party line, but also a digital Zack Snyder and a digital James Gunn, who happened to say, "Wow, I was convinced by your love and appreciation, so now I'm going to reach out to Netflix to make this happen." Uh, any thoughts on that? Let's start with Miss 1776.
I mean, you got to admire their determination. I mean, it's pretty. It's one of those things where sometimes when you watch certain people do things like that, you're like, they had just used that power and intelligence for good. How far we would be in society.
Well, that's the same. That's the comic book hero argument for supervillains.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll appreciate being called supervillains.
I always considered Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and the other two multi-rich people who are what's his name, Branson, the one who owns a Virgin Airlines, Virgin Records, and everything else. They're all trying to get to space. Each one of them has got their own private space thing where they're shooting rockets and testing with astronauts to try to get. What do they know that we don't know? I mean, they act like Bond villains. We don't have a James Bond, but we have all these rich people who are going to get to space before everyone else does. So it's kind of crazy.
It's like a little reminiscent of the space race. Was it back in the 1950s?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Where
except for,
there's
back then it was countries and fighting for your nation. And now it's like just rich people, like you said, wondering, okay, but why do you want to go to space?
they were sending animals out into space to see how long they would survive. They didn't even think about whether or not they were going to be able to catch them when they came back down. Monkeys and dogs and all kinds of things. Warren, what do you think about these Snyderverse takeover? Was it successful?
No, they're delusional idiots. They don't stop. Like I don't get it. Like it's never coming back. It's not coming back. Like, no, stop it. Like, why try? Like I don't understand. The whole point of it was to get his show what he actually wanted. Then they get it and they're like, oh, we want more. Not like, oh, we're happy. Move on. It's like if they did that, I don't know. Maybe if I was a fanatic or a zealot or whatever you want to call those people, I would be. But even now, it's like, why aren't you going like hashtag Rebel Moon instead? That's my
Ex-
thing. If you know,
yeah, Rebel Moon is coming out. He's got the zombie apocalypse world that he's building out. He's actually building out two large worlds, and they are supporting those just as much as they supported the Snyderverse when it was on HBO or when it went out to the movie theaters or everything else. It seems like the only concern is whether or not they can trend on social media. But if you think about it logically, let's think about this logically. He's working on Rebel Moon. That's going to be at least a trilogy, just like his zombie movies are going to be a trilogy. He's trying to build that out. So we're looking at maybe 10 years before he can get back to Justice League. If they sell the licensing rights for just the Justice League, the way that it was intended, they are going to have all kinds of stipulations placed upon them, just like Amazon had stipulations placed on them when they bought the rights to the Lord of the Rings. They thought, yay, we got Lord of the Rings. What they got was the title. They couldn't use any of the things. They couldn't use the word Hobbit. They were put that restriction was put on them by WB. They couldn't use any of the references to the original trilogy. They couldn't use. They actually had to come up with new stuff when they bought the rights to do that. So $1 billion for just the name is essentially what they got. So when they get the Snyderverse, they're gonna have all kinds of restrictions. Okay. So now we're 10 years out. We have restrictions. And now we've got to think about Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill, and Ben Affleck. 10 years on.
they'll be pushing close to what, mid-60s.
It would have to be Kingdom Come, a Kingdom Come adaptation, if that, or a Dark Knight's Return type of thing, which, by the way, because they licensed the Snyderverse, they wouldn't have access to tell those stories. So, really, honestly, how successful would selling the Snyderverse to Netflix be? You got to kind of ask yourself that. That window has passed. So, you know, I would say, is it time to move on? Yeah, I think so. Miss 1776?
Oh, I agree. I think, like you said, I mean, one, the actors are going to be too old. Um, but yeah, I mean, they just should be happy they got the Schneider cut and, move on. Like, the rest of us, I mean, you can't keep a franchise, especially with live actors going forever. So eventually it has to end anyways. So just
Yeah.
be happy that the studios got together and let you get that cut because most places are just screwed.
I think you said it best when you said that we have the original Barney. I think
Well,
they
it
they
reminds me
had.
of Daredevil. They were supposed to come out with the Daredevil too with Ben Affleck, and I really liked the Daredevil movie. I would have loved to have seen a second one, but he's too old now. I mean, he's too old. I don't care. I'll admit it. I love that with Daredevil. I'm not ashamed. I was 13. I fell in love with Ben Affleck there.
Well, I think we've got one of the Snyderverse people here that would like to address the entire situation. So let's give the platform over to him.
I reject your reality and I substitute my own.
So there we go. There we go. So I think that's the last word on the Snyderverse, hopefully, at least for this show. So news broke this week that they're going to be casting the Fantastic Four. And I said that on purpose like that, just because it amuses me. Fantastic. And they're going to start with Sue Richards, the original Fantastic Four, Miss Invisible. So that means to me that even though we're not going to get a Fantastic Four movie anytime soon, the Fantastic Four is going to show up in something that's going to be in production real soon. So that's kind of exciting. How do you feel about that, Warren?
If they're not all white, I'm gonna riot.
Well, now here's the thing, and of course you know this. Kang the Conqueror is a descendant of Reed Richards, and they have made a stand, um, as you saw with the. And I'm not going to give up any spoilers here, uh, but they showed the Council of Kangs at the end of the movie. Maybe I did. I did just give up a spoiler. Said I wouldn't. I lied. Sorry, guys. Spoiler alert. Kang the Conqueror showed up in the Kang Council of Kangs, and one of the things that stuck out to me about the Council of Kangs is that they didn't do a multiversal Kang. Kang is Kang. Kang is always Kang. Kang is exactly the same. So he's Jonathan Majors, and Jonathan Majors, not unlike the Reed Richards of the multiverse of madness, there were two different guys who played uh, Reed Richards in the movies. The first guy was Australian, Ian something or other, and the other guy was the fan cast dude. Do you remember his name? No,
No,
doesn't matter.
wasn't he in that like drum movie?
Yeah, he's another guy from The Office. So I think. And the point is, he doesn't look anything like Kang, either of those guys. But Kang looks like Kang. So whichever Fantastic Four they go with, I believe they're going to look like Kang. So I think you're going to probably riot because at least Sue Richards or Reed Richards is going to resemble Kang. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, I mean, we were talking about I was talking about this with a friend. It's the 31st century he's in, right? So clearly, you can have someone in your bloodline, but not be that specific color. So that's why I'm like, and they've tried it before and it didn't really work. So why not just go with what works? Like, why? Okay, my problem with slapping paint on, because that's what I call it, slapping black paint on these characters is like, why not like make characters good? Like Blue Marvel, make them good. Spectrum, make them good. War Machine, make them good. There's plenty of black characters. Why do we have to change them just for inclusivity and variety and diversity? And nobody in the early 90s, before comic book movies became a thing, you went to the comic shop, you picked up the comic, you weren't like, oh my god, Reed Richards isn't black, or oh my god, Iron Man isn't Asian, or oh my god, Spider-Man isn't Spanish. Like that. So where did this diversity? What's it called? Trying to think of the word.
Inclusivity.
Not inclusivity. A different word.
There's so many buzzwords for it.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Like, why?
Yeah. Well, that's because human resources stepped in, and there's a lot of political reasons. I think I mentioned once before in a different stream that you have a specific ideology that has taken over the schools. Originally, they took over the colleges so that they could get the teachers, and those teachers have made their way into the classrooms so that they could get to the students. And it's kind of like a virus would spread. It goes from one person to the next person to the next to the next to the next. And eventually these people get hired on at different companies. And then you start to see this movement, if you will, um, start to show up in different places. Now, I'm all for everybody having their own opinions and living their best life the way it's meant to be. And if you feel that something is important, you should say something about it and try to make changes. In if you see something horrible in your workplace, do your best to fix that. And I think that's probably what they're doing. We don't all agree on what that might be, but I think that's what happened. And what you have is what seems to be an agenda driven movement to make everything as colorful as possible in every aspect of society. So, and you saw that initially back in the 2000s with Ben and Jerry and what they were doing, speaking their truth to power, if you will, by the way they did business and the way they named their ice creams and by the way they supported their charities and everybody doing their best. I think that's a good thing. Everybody doing their best to make things better. But I think when you cast Jonathan Majors as Kang, it's pretty obvious that they cast the best person for the job. I don't think they went into that, or maybe they did, but they found the best actor for that particular job. He embodies that role. He's a chameleon when it comes to playing the variants, as evidenced in the Loki series versus who he is now uh, in uh, in the video in the movie Quantumania. So obviously, Jonathan Majors is the best for the role. I think the person they cast as Monica Rambeau, she's not doing a stellar job for the role that she was cast.
To to be fair, to be fair, WandaVision wasn't that great. She's a good character in the comics.
Yeah, and I believe
She
when they casted Monica Rambeau, I listened to an interview with her. It wasn't that they casted her like having her kind of play as Monica Rambeau. They had her play as a 70s girl, that she played in WandaVision. So she did that acting, and that's how she got it. It wasn't through acting as that character. They didn't even tell her she was going to be that character till I believe like later on down the road.
But what I mean to say is that she's a talented person. She's not
Hmm.
just like a lot of people appointed in our government. Uh, she didn't just check a whole lot of boxes and not qualify for the job. These two people qualified for the job, and I think if they can find people who qualify for the job of being a perfect actor that can carry that particular Fantastic Four franchise, uh, all the better if it happens to check a box. I think that box should now be put to the back. And if it happens, it happens. But first and foremost, let's cast the right people for the job. And I mean, when I say right people, I mean acting wise, talent wise,
Hmm.
range wise. Um, let's do that. And before this news even broke out, I had seen a rumor that they were thinking of hiring Mina Kuntz from that '70s show
Oh, okay, Mila
as
Kunis.
yeah as Sue Richards. So I don't know. What do you think? Who do you think should play that role?
Um, it's really hard. Um, I'm not familiar with all blonde, blue-eyed actresses. I don't know. I just think I told someone I think blonde and blue eyes is very overrated. I don't find it attractive at all, actually. Um, I couldn't tell you. I'd have to do research. I mean, Florence Pugh is already being used, so I couldn't say. I thought she could have been a good, but she's going to be in Thunderbolt, so you can't really use her.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'd have to look first. I can't think of any.
No, what do you think, Miss 1776?
Yeah, I actually kind of like that idea of Mila Kunis. I wouldn't be against it.
As
I
long
mean,
as they don't put contacts on her and
didn't they do that for
a blonde
Jessica
wig.
Alba? They did that for
They
Jessica Alba, didn't they?
they did. They put contacts in her and they put a blonde wig on her and sent her out there and said, "Do a great job."
I mean, at least like back then, they did like an effort to kind of, But I will say, like when you're talking about the acting thing, I mean, like I said, I always talk about Daredevil. I mean, Michael Clark Duncan did a wonderful job as Kingpin. He
Yes, he
probably
did.
scared me more as Kingpin than Vincent D'Onofrio, just because of like he just had this way like in his acting. He's so talented where he could make you laugh, he can make you cry, or he could scare the hell out of you. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was talking about with
Yeah.
range. They can take what's written down and bring something new to it. When I was doing, when I was filmmaking, I would make sure that the actors understood that they had more to do than just recite lines. They had to react to the other person and not just deliver lines back consistently the same way every single time. No, react to what's going on. A lot of times the actors would write their own backstories to create motivations for reacting in a certain way so that they understood why they would say something a certain way as opposed to just again reading back lines. So that's where you get all the different subtleties where you can see an actor or a couple of actors that have chemistry together. They could say
Mhm.
something and not mean what they're saying but mean something else. I've been married for over 20 years, so I know when everything's fine doesn't mean everything's fine when talking to my wife because there are subtle undertones to any conversation. And, there are times when, no, you go ahead doesn't mean go ahead. So I always look for that when I'm watching a movie, whether there is subtext or not, and delivering those subtext um, is something that is unique. And Kang gives you that. Jonathan Majors gives you that. Uh, Michael Clark Duncan gave us that when he was Kingpin. Uh, Ben Affleck did not,
No, he
but
was just
Jennifer
like candy.
Garner did. Jennifer Garner
Yes.
did. Her reactions were just fantastic, and if only everybody else who made that film could do was on that same level, it would have been just beautiful. It would have been a great movie. But it was popcorn, so there you go. You got Daredevil. So yeah, I think they should hire for talent, and I think that's a good thing to do. Now, something interesting came up after the announcements at the beginning of the year of what the Marvel slate was going to be like and how the shows were going to go down. They lost a president, regained an old president, and of course, when that happens, there's always changes. So Warren and I did. Did we do that, Warren? Did we talk about the first year of Marvel TV and movies?
No, I don't think so.
No, we didn't. We did. Well, I did it with somebody, and half the
Probably
shows that we
Killmonger.
it might have been Chillmonger that we did. Um, we talked about the first half of the series, the movies, and now half of those are gone, and there's only going to be two shows a year going forward. And this year they've decided to settle on. Um, they decided to settle on.
Secret Invasion and Loki season 2.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Is this a good move for Marvel or no?
I think it is to focus on just 2 projects, put their energy into it rather than, well, like we've seen, like when they do this streamline of just overwhelming amounts of stuff. Plus, I kind of like that it's 2 shows because you kind of get a little bit more when it's shows. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And if it was just a straight movie,
Well, the movies are going to continue on,
right?
but they've cut the TV shows down, so we're not
Oh,
going to
so
be
it's just the
getting.
TV shows that they're cutting down.
Yeah, we're not going to be getting Echo. We're not going to be getting Daredevil or whatever it was,
Oh, good.
because they had an entire slate of at least 6 shows, I think, that they were going to try to pull off this year to release, shoot and release, shoot and release, shoot and release, and now it's just I guess just the 2 that are in the can already. So what that means is that they're going to probably have to rewrite whatever they had planned because now they fall into a different time slot than they did when they were originally going to book in the movies. So how do you think that's going to affect the shows, Warren?
I thought when I saw this news, I thought it was good news. It's well, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I think the thing is that I think you guys all watched this all show. Only show I haven't watched so far is She-Hulk. I stopped at episode 3. I couldn't stand that woman. I was like, nope, you need a backhand. That's how I felt. I'm sorry, but the shows to me felt they had like this one particular thing. 3 episodes, middle my climax, like a mid climax, then finally bad guy. It was something that we kept seeing in every one of these shows, right? And I think a lot of people are just fed up with like the CGI being terrible, the acting being terrible sometimes. One particular actor is the standout, and the rest are just garbage. Um, and if they're trying to connect the universe again and have some good storytelling, 2 shows is fine. I mean, that's what highlighted the first phase was that we were getting like 2 movies, but they were like 2 good movies. Like we got Iron Man, then we got Captain America, or maybe on the order is wrong, but you get what I'm saying. Like we only got 2 movies
Yeah.
a year, um, and then also I think it's just going to you're just gonna get better quality. It's like quality over quantity. That's the way I look at it. So I think it's good overall. Now, are they gonna still stick to the 6 episodes or do more episodes now? That'd be great because I think you can. We've seen that the 6 episode thing is in a good format.
I think this year they're going to stick with the 6 episode simply because they're probably already in the can, and this particular cutting down of the TV shows is a cost cutting measure. At least that's how they presented it. So for them to try to fluff these out is probably not the right idea. Then again, Disney Plus isn't just the Marvel channel, so they've got other things that they can fill in the gap with, and I think that's probably another thing they're going to be doing is highlighting other aspects of the Disney family. Miss 76, did you enjoy the She-Hulk?
I refuse to watch She-Hulk or Miss Marvel. It's not that I do like the female superheroes. I don't like how Marvel does them. So I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it to myself again.
I explained to MSK early on when the shows were coming out that um, it looked like they were setting up the character of the She-Hulk to learn valuable lessons. She starts off by downplaying what her more experienced cousin uh, did. She downplayed what he knew about controlling his anger. She did a lot of things that basically said that she knew best for everything, which led to me believe that there was this fantastic character arc of I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing, and then mid-season I'm in over my head, and then I have to learn something, become a different character, and I've grown throughout the season. It looked like they were heading in that direction They didn't go there. So, it looked like they were following a fantastic story arc, but they were not.
These Hollywood
So,
people, a great service to go back and watch the Hunger Games and watch like a female, you know, uh, character go through an arc and learn and grow and how they can be likable. You can make these very likable, female heroes, but you can't do it if you just act like they're perfect when they act up like that.
yeah, and then at the very end, they just kind of do this contrived comic book thing, like, look, we were going for this whole comic book aesthetic from the very beginning. See, ha 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 ha. Um, None of the writers knew how to write a legal show. They were determined to write a legal show. None of them have experience writing superhero genre. They had them in the superhero genre. Um, I can only assume that they hired them because of their talent, but that's not evident in what they put out. So, what am I missing in why they hired them? I don't know. But
What
I'm sorry, go
I
ahead,
was I was
please.
gonna say what's interesting is there was a show on Lifetime. It was actually really cute and it was a good show. It was Drop Dead Diva, but it was about a female lawyer. So why didn't and it was a comedy too. So I don't understand why they didn't just get some of the writers from there. There's two out of three. You got your comedy, you got your, legal, and then get someone who knows how to write superheroes. Boom. Would have been a great show.
Or follow a story arc. The
Mhm.
hero's journey is something that everybody should know about if you're writing in Hollywood. I mean, that's like the gold standard of how to take a hero from from zero to hero. You go through the trials and the challenges and things.
Doing that
But
for women. And
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say they just stopped doing that for women though. And it's like I know I see what they want to do. They want to put women in these like situations where it's like the 1950s where, they don't get any respect and they have to overcome all this. But then yet they also don't want to disrespect the women. And so they don't so it's like it's hard to explain. It's like they try to disrespect them, but yet they can't disrespect them. So instead it just makes them come off as really abrasive and rude and it's like you can't have it both ways.
Do you think the writing rooms are trying to write reality the way it is, their reality, or are they trying to write reality the way they want people to see it?
Well, that's a good question. I
Warren,
think
what
in
do you
their
think?
minds.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I've
No, no,
talked a
you
lot.
started talking. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I think that it is how they see it. They see reality.
Warren.
I am very controversial on these topics. Well, to answer, well, I think Miss Marvel was a good show up until the last one. It got to Bollywood, so that's not spoiling anything for you. I thought it was a good show. I saw it. I actually like the show, so maybe that's one you'll give a try. But I refuse to watch the rest of She-Hulk. Now, with that being said, I think the problem is that whoever these writers were, they are too influenced on what's happening in business and in celebrity world, as in like Hollywood. Because I know that Marvel is a part of media, right? It's entertainment, but like I'm talking about the music, the sports, the social media platforms, and um, I like a female strong character just like the next one. I when I watched Alien when I was a kid, I was like, man, this one's badass. She's killing aliens and everything. Sarah Connor, badass. Even Hunger Games that came out in the 2000s, that was good with Katniss. Even though Jennifer Lawrence just went over her head with that comment she made the other day, but whatever. Um, so I think the problem is that this new sort of thinking that I'm gonna just say it flat out. I think feminism has been influenced in these characters when it doesn't need to be. The reason why these these female characters in, say, the comic books were so respected is because they earned their place and among the men without even. I wouldn't say without trying. It's like Scarlet Witch gets respect. Storm gets respect. Let me see some. You could say Rogue, Jubilee, Sue Storm, Misty Knight, even though she's not that popular, I would say. So Elektra from Daredevil. So there's female characters, but I don't understand why do you have to tear down the male characters so that they can be dominant. Like the male character can always support you too, but you don't have to make him look like there's a coward. So I don't know why, or if it's an agenda. Maybe they think that's how they're going to attract the female, the girl/woman audience, because it's just like, to me, if I'm seeing this, I'm like, so basically I could kick my brother down and I'm better than him. Like I thought my brother's supposed to help me, but that's the impression I get if I had a bigger sister. So I guess my sister's supposed to kick me down and she doesn't need no help from me. So that's I hope they change, because they're gonna keep losing people, and I think that's why Iger came back in, because even if you look at, like, and I don't mean to go on a rant, when you look at, like, say, Scarlett Johansson, I think we can all agree that as Black Widow, she held her own. She was always a good character. I don't think we can have any qualms with her. Maybe you could say, oh, the suit was a little bit too much cleavage in the second Iron Man when she appeared, but I didn't even paint. Actually, that was the most Natasha look ever, with the red hair and the black costume. So until Avengers, right? So they pulled her off without forcing it on you, and people, there was decent Black Widow fans. That's why they even wanted the movie, but it came out too late, right? So if they can keep that sort of trend with a character like Black Widow, and you gradually like her, and she's doing her thing, then I think they're in a good place. But if they keep doing these things, like in Miss Marvel, in Captain Marvel, the movie, the one scene that pisses me off to this day is the one where Julia's like, show me that you're a man. Why? Why are you catering to this? That's when I know it's like, I was like, I'm not watching this movie. It's stupid. Like, no, that's not, no. So that's where that's my whole spiel on that thing.
Miss 1776.
I mean, just going back to Warren's comment about the cleavage thing, I think that is so weird to get upset at. I mean, I'm telling you, I hate to keep going back to Daredevil, but as if we didn't see Ben Affleck shirtless, coming out of the water when he's sleeping in the water. As if, like I said, that was my childhood crush right there. That was like what sparked my teenage years. So, I mean, people want to. I don't understand what's so wrong with an attractive superhero, and I don't understand what's so wrong with, a little bit of cleavage here. I don't see why people get upset and think suddenly that's a sexist thing. It's not like she was a stupid bimbo. She was very intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
She was able to pull one over on Tony Stark when he's supposed to be the most, one of the most intelligent guys there. So I don't understand all people getting in a tizzy over that kind of stuff.
Well, I think the problem that they have is that the actresses themselves have wound up complaining about
Well, then don't take the role.
how much cleavage. But if you're auditioning for a role, you should know a little something about that role. I mean, it's in the comic books. Yeah, you know exactly what the character looks like. You know exactly how much skin they're showing. Unless you're doing Witchblade for TV, you're going to be showing a lot of skin as that character. And by the way, Witchblade for TV wasn't any good, and it wasn't because they didn't stick to a comic accurate costume. You'll have to look that up later on to see what that costume was. But I think it's okay to downplay the cleavage as the movies go on, because we mentioned earlier, the actors and actresses do get a little bit older. Um, Thor, Liam Hemsworth, I think that's his name. He started complaining about how many shirtless scenes were being added to Thor: Love and Thunder. No, he was complaining about how many shirtless scenes there were in the second Thor Ragnarok, and he didn't like it, and he complained to the director about it. And in Love and Thunder, I think the director got him back by showing more
Yes.
than just him shirtless. So, I think the guys are having just as hard a time as the ladies, and it does take a lot to stay fit. But one of the things, one of the advantages the women have is that you can have as demonstrated as by Canadian high school wood teachers, you can have a fake cleavage to
Oh
show
yeah.
off. So, I mean, there are answers to different problems. There was a scene that Robert Rodriguez needed to shoot in one of his Machete movies, where the character Jessica Alba was playing needed to be in a shower and artistically nude, and she refused to do that. So she did the shower scene uh, fully covered up with a swimsuit, and stood there in the pose. And for the film, Robert Rodriguez artistically removed the clothing so that he got the shot that he wanted.
And I was
Did the
gonna say,
same thing.
didn't they used to have like body doubles where like, someone would do a stand-in to be the naked part for the actor or actress?
Yes, they did that. Yeah, they still do that.
'Cause
Gal Gadot had a body double stand in when uh, Ezra Miller had to fall on top of her for the inserted comedy sequence that Joss Whedon put together. When he fell on top of her and he was straddling her, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, comedy. Let me get off. She refused to do that, and I think the stunt double did it and was the body double for that particular shot. So the answers are there, and I think Rodriguez got permission before he did it. So there are ways around different things. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see. I don't have a lightning round put together for us. I had computer issues this morning, and so we almost got started late, and so we're not going to be doing a lightning round this week, guys. But any last words from everybody?
Well, I think the critics were a little bit rough on Quantum Mania. I think it's a good start to a movie. It's very safe. I thought when I watched the movie, I didn't get any sort of wokeness or forced narratives. That's not spoiling anything, so that's good. And then I guess in a few weeks we get Mandalorian, and we get Guardians soon. So we got a couple. Oh, and Marvels later this year too. So a couple good movies and shows throughout the year. Oh, and today is the 6th episode of The Last of Us.
Yes. No Last of Us recap today because they essentially gave us a week off for some reason. Yeah, Super Bowl. That's why. So, Miss 76, are you going to give the Marvels a chance? Are you going to go back and watch Miss Marvel? And now that you've gotten a good recommendation for it?
I think after getting the recommendation for it, I will go back and watch Miss Marvel. I won't go back and watch She-Hulk. That's just not going to happen. But I will go back and watch Miss Marvel. That sounds,
What are you
I'm
looking
okay
forward
with
to
that.
this week?
This week, I'm looking forward to The Last of Us and 1923. I think those just dropped today, so that's what I'm going to be watching.
Oh, no. I couldn't watch 1923. I did watch, what was it?
1883.
1883. I did watch that. Watched that all the way through. And it was at the end of it that I realized that it was a live action version of the Oregon Trail video game. Um, and, you know,
Oh,
people,
1923 turned you off from it.
eh, it just wasn't my speed. It didn't light me on fire. It didn't hook
Hmm.
me. Um, Harrison Ford just looks tired.
I will say, yes, he looks older and tired, but he does play a really great role. They really, I mean, he's a total bad A in it. I will say.
I couldn't get through the first episode. I just couldn't. It wasn't my type of show. I think it was probably, I don't know. I don't watch Yellowstone, so I don't know how much it parallels
Mhm.
Yellowstone, or how much more it's going into being like Yellowstone. I much more like
Because it's
the
supposed to be the back. Oh, it's like the
please go ahead.
backstory to how sorry, it's the backstory to how the Duttons got the land, and then and I don't want to spoil anything for 1923, but like the part with the Native American, like that lineage plays a very important role to one of Dutton's adversaries. So um it's going to be interesting to see how, and throughout it you kind of get to see how they've ran into the Native Americans, because in Yellowstone they're always telling the Duttons, oh, you took our land. Well, you find out in 1883, no, they didn't take their land, they were given the land by the other native tribe. So and then if you count the generations, I think it's getting closer to that seventh generation when it's supposed to exchange hands. So I mean, but now he has the grandson who's native. So I mean, is that where it has now exchanged hands with his grandson who's half native, and that land's going to go to him? So that's kind of where it's kind of interesting to see the backstory.
Yeah,
But I can
yeah.
see if it's not your cup of tea. I get where sometimes it can get really uh it's a pretty harsh, say hard, but obviously they don't spare anything from like all the gory details of life back then.
Hmm. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, but I'm not looking forward to anything in particular this week coming up. But I'm always surprised as to what winds up being in the news, and whatever interesting thing happens this coming week, we'll be sure to talk about it in next Sunday's Sunday wrap up. Until next time, everybody go out and make it a great day. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us.